Indigenous Rights Radio, because knowledge is power.
According to UN.org, recent estimates suggest that 600 million jobs would have to be created over the next 15 years to meet youth employment needs. In 2021, approximately 75 million young people were unemployed, 408 million were employed, and 732 million were out of the labor force globally. World Youth Skills Day is commemorated on July 15th. In this podcast, we hear from Alice Tipap, who is a member of the Maasai people of Tanzania. Alice talks to us about the youth in her region.
My name is Alice Nina Tipap. I am a Maasai by tribe. I work with Indigenous Women Development Affairs. Indigenous Women Development Affairs is an indigenous organization that was formed 2024 with 4 indigenous women with the aims of continuing to amplify the voices of indigenous women, especially in inclusiveness in different realms. We basically work with issues of climate change, but however, we work with issues of eradicating all forms of gender-based violence, but also working with projects that focus in improving the standard of indigenous women and girls by accessing such projects that will contribute to their well-being. Projects such as education projects such as health project is also focus as one of our priorities in order to continue improving the livelihood system of these indigenous women and girls. However, Indigenous Women Development Affairs basically works in continuing in highly documenting different cultural heritage, especially documenting importance of indigenous culture, indigenous language. Moreover, by highly working on documenting the best practices that the indigenous community uphold and continue holding as their focal identity and significance. Specifically, we have been documenting different gatherings, indigenous gathering. Moreover, we also do a lot with documenting the indigenous knowledge pertaining different issues such as climate change and weather forecast, issues of health, the different endangered species that we see they're existing and they're heading to be no more found in their areas, and see different ways of rejuvenating such endangered species. Why I decided to join this team, especially the Indigenous Development Women Affairs, my aim of being part of the team of this organization is to continue to use my expertise that I have based on issues of documentation, issues of translation, but also my expertise in agriculture as a horticultural specialist, but also in my expertise of passionability of working with indigenous community, specifically working with women and youth. This has continued making me more happier, also more inclusive in continue eradicating all other form of gender-based violence that is still in my community. So among many other issues that have made me, but also I'm passionate of being part of the team, is their mission and vision that all focus in continue improving the livelihood system of the indigenous women, specifically the young girls. I have gained a lot, different skills that I have gained a lot. I've gained a lot basically in documenting different stories, different cultural affiliations, different importance of the indigenous language and how it is connected with everything they have, especially their livelihood system, their land management and other. This has continued making me gain a number of numerous issues in the communities that the indigenous community, why they are still have that signification of being indigenous people. So going further, I'll continue working basically on documenting this and mainstreaming to the coming generation so that it is easy to convey a number of messages, a number of important indigenous knowledge, but that are held by this community to the coming generation.
The younger generation of the indigenous populations can become assets to their communities if their potential is harnessed. They have the ability to transform the overall destiny of the indigenous community. Young people drive idealism, creativity, and entrepreneurship, and with the appropriate support, they can help make the world a better place. Alice tells us about some of the challenges faced by the youth in her community.
The indigenous communities as youth still have a number of problems and that needs to be addressed. For instance, in my community, we still face, as women or young girls, we still face countless traditional practices that still sideline and violate the indigenous women rights, include the right to education, right to decision making, and even right to air out or to be inclusive at a different gender development agenda. So as a youth, to come out and address such issues and understand the background that my community will continue give me will pave a way for me to continue amplifying the voices of a number of different women and youth at different localities and to bring solution for the sustainability and lasting long solution on the nation problem. Still we face education problem, early marriages, forced marriages, and also facing a number of abusing practices such as female genital mutilation, but moreover even women facing harassment, even not having the right of access to property and others. So this is some of the problems that we see still women face and many others. Continuing to bring lasting solution to this is to come back by identifying the best practices that we have as a community and use such best practices to amplify how the best culture we uphold, but within it we have some of the practices that we see and also they are highly reflecting how they abuse the indigenous women and girls' rights. In this, we have started using the best practices, using the different platform within the community, like the major ceremony, the major gathering, to continue conveying the message of eradicating form of gender-based violence that still sideline or diminish the right of women and girls. Moreover, continue working in collaboration with the traditional leaders, elders, and other influence people in the community so that in one voice we can end other forms that continue to violate women, but also to bring the access to information that are reliable to them, despite the fact that the communities that we work with, the indigenous communities, still use their own language. But being part of indigenous women development affairs is one of the ways that we need to have a mainstream, a way that we convey the message at the right way, but in an easy way that makes these women and girls access the information at the right time and at the right message, so that to enable them being on track and have the access to information on different issues that are going on. My message to my fellow youth, as a youth working with the indigenous communities, it's not a shame to be an indigenous person. is not something that diminish or remove you from being part of other development. But as a youth, my message is that let's join hand and continue working with the indigenous community by continue embracing the best practices that we have. However, by continuing embracing the best language that we have, but through all this, we can use our own best practices during our own gathering, our own indigenous knowledge to eradicate all form of violences that we see pertaining the indigenous women, especially the gender-based violence, to enable to bring more women to access different platforms, to access different decision-making processes, but also to be part of different development agendas at a different level in our own community. For the aim of bringing a just communities, we need to work together. But let's not forget that the cultural affiliation that we have, we need to mainstream for generation and generation. Thank you.
For more on the rights of Indigenous peoples, visit cs.org and follow Cultural Survival on Facebook and Twitter.